Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share the Tanya. My apologies yesterday. Two things. One is I was away. And secondly, I made a mistake in teaching the day before yesterday's class. I don't know what I did exactly, but Sunday I taught Monday's class, and anyways. So, but we're back. We are back. We welcome Clem all the way in Australia, Brisbane. Welcome, very loud. Say it loud. Oh, and Terence also in Australia, in Melbourne. Welcome. Bruce is in Bangkok. Wow. Not everybody far away. That is close at hand. Thanks to the technology, we could be very close. In Bangkok, good evening. Carlos is in Costa Rica. Welcome to you, Carlos. Nicole, you have to remind me. I forget where you're from. Welcome, Boker Tov. Eric is in Norway. We got everybody from around the globe over here, except very close at hand. In Mexico, we have, ooh la la, Jolaramo. Oh, I'm sure I got that wrong. You have to help me with that. From Mexico, good morning. Diane is here in Arizona. Okay, John in North Carolina. And Eugenia is still in Florida. Welcome. Running away from the cold of Canada. Well, not running, I'm sure. Davida and Liba in New York. Welcome. Celeste Chavez in Boulder, Colorado. Is joined us, and Joseph is in a mild wintry day in New Jersey. Daphne is in South Carolina, having a terrific Tuesday. Deborah is in Kitchener, Ontario, a fellow Canadian. Shalom. Mark is in Santa Rosa, California. Welcome. Anna is in New York. June is also in Australia, where it's a good night and pleasant dreams with Tanya. Julia is in Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining. Valerie is in Arkansas. Shalom. Nicole in Italy. Okay. Amazing. Lynn is in Long Island joining us. Ahuva is in Seattle. Sandy is in Michigan. Lisa is in the UK. Leah is in Florida. Alexandra is in Connecticut. Got it. Connecticut. Zara is in Malaysia. Beautiful. We've got with us on Instagram, Yenta Telebenta. We have Colombia with us. Akoy in Peru. Rachel in South Carolina. Astro. Ooh, I forgot. You have to remind me. Miriam, welcome. Carlos in Chile. Got it. Okay. We've got Luz, Eliana, Adam, Noah, Jay joining us. Beautiful. Okay. We conclude the 6th chapter today. 6th chapter, one word. Leumas, the opposite. Whatever there is in light, there's in darkness. Whatever there is in the godly soul that we spoke about, we have leumas, the opposite side, the animal soul. So just as we have a full character being, not just an inclination of good, but it's a full soul that has 3 parts of intellect, 7 parts of emotions in the godly soul. So we have that in the animal soul too. What is the godly soul? Well, it's directed towards God. Everything is about its attachment to God, right? As we learned previously. The animal soul, the opposite. What is it? Well, anything that's not directed towards Hashem, that is self-directed, doesn't mean it's evil. It means it hasn't surrendered itself to Hashem. What does it mean, not surrendered? In other words, the focus is the animal soul, what's good for me, right? What's good for me? Where does that notion come that I should think what's good for me? It's because I feel separate from my source, from God, right? I feel separate from Him. And therefore, I don't receive vitality directly from Him. As a result, where does it come from? Vitality. It comes from what we call the hind part, as it were, acharayim, the backside. Metaphorically, that would be like a person that needs to give a gift to someone who's their enemy. Yeah, it's a metaphor. So you don't look the person directly in the eyes when you give it to them. You kind of throw it over your back. You don't make eye contact with such an individual, because that would be a deeper connection. And you don't want to make that deeper connection. You're only doing this to serve a purpose, not because you want to connect. It's a means to an end. As opposed to, metaphorically, a mother who gives food to her children. She's not giving food, really. She's giving love that's embodied in food. And she looks at children face to face, eye to eye, because of the loving connection. That's when we get our vitality directly from Hashem, from His holiness. But here, again, it's not vitality they're getting direct. Why? Because this is something that is not surrendered to Him, not about connecting to God. It's about the animal soul, self-serving. Again, doesn't mean you're doing anything horrific, but it is that you're separate from Hashem. You're not doing what you're needed for. Your feeling is you're doing what you need to do for yourself. Now, this form of vitality that we gave a metaphor of, not making the eye contact, giving it the gift, throwing it over the shoulder, as it were, comes from Hashem's holiness, but there's a contraction on it. There's a descent on the light, many contractions, and it diminishes the light until that light, which means a light of life, of God, that life force, that vitality, is now captive in exile. And just like someone who is in jail is controlled by their captors, so likewise, this is a vitality that is controlled, so to speak, by the captor of negativity. And of course, how does it consider itself? This life force, separate from holiness. And this is what gives vitality, creating that thing that has a separateness from God. And therefore, the divine life force that's in that created thing is in a state of exile. It belongs to the realm of klipa, the shell, the peel that covers over on the delicious fruit inside. So now we can understand that anything that thought, word, or action that's not directed towards the service of God, meaning it's not batal, nullified towards God, right? It has its own value, right? Is a garment, a self-expression of the animal soul, and derives from klipa. even though it might even be a wonderful sentiment that you're expressing, right? It might be a nice thing that you're saying. But again, it's not nullified to Hashem. It's not what Hashem is. It's not a result of what Hashem needs from you, but it's the result of what you want for yourself. As a result, says the Alter Rebbe, now we can understand why this world is called the world of Klipa and Sitra Acher. Klipa again meaning the shell that covers over, and Sitra Acher means the other side, meaning the other side of holiness, right? And with this we can understand why the affairs of this world are severe and evil, and that the wicked prevail in it. Because the nature of the way this world is created is not surrender to God, not bittul, that it's about a higher purpose. That's not the nature of the world, the way God creates it. The nature of this world is klipa, separate from God, having its own agenda. Again, it doesn't mean that you've done anything terrible. It could be even a nice sentiment. And just a reminder, well, we'll explain that now more. Now, in a footnote says the Alter Rebbe that through this tzimtzum, this contraction of the divine light, that now is in a form of exile, meaning it's covered over the divinity, the holiness that's there, right? And giving vitality to a world that is full of klipa sitra acher. And again, as a result of that, that's why things are harsh in this world. Godliness isn't revealed. It's not open. It's not obvious. And that's why the wicked therefore prevail. Prevail only temporarily, but prevail. But in all of this, make no mistake, it's not that God left the world. The Ein Sof is enclosed in the 10 attributes in the world of Atzilus. The 10 attributes of the world of Atzilus is in Bria, is enclosed there in Yetzirah and Asiya, right? And therefore it pervades even God, and the limitlessness of God pervades this world, but in a manner of concealment. So, not to make a mistake as if, God removed himself. No, not at all. But this is the way we are, in a revealed manner. What we have is klipa and sitra acher. Now, when we speak about klipa and sitra acher, we have to understand that there's two dimensions to it, two categories of klipa, one lower, one higher. The lower, meaning the worser one, which we did not actually kind of explain till now. We explained the way God creates the world in its natural state is klipa. The lower is the 3 completely unclean evil klipas that actually contain no good in them. And those are like, the things that are forbidden. That is embodies those things that are forbidden for a Jew to engage in. So their vitality is a klipa, but it's such a klipa that is no good in it at all. It comes from the idea of 3 completely unclean klipas comes from the vision of Yecheskel, of Ezekiel, in the divine chariot, where he saw the forces of concealed godliness, as he describes them metaphorically in a storm wind, a great cloud, and a flaring fire. All these things, destructive in nature, which was a metaphor of the destructiveness of the completely unclean klipas of this world, which includes anything, any thought, any word, or any action which are the three garments of expression of the soul, that are forbidden. Like, so any thought that's forbidden, in other words, entertaining a sexual thought that is forbidden, right? The vitality for that is coming from sholish klipas etzmeis, from this completely unholy place of that cannot be, that is giving vitality. Or someone is saying lashon hara, saying someone is speaking ill of someone that you shouldn't be speaking ill. Right? So you're getting vitality. The fact that you can do it is a power of God that is given to you. How's that power come to you? Through the tzimtzum of, and it's not just a contraction, that is a regular form of vitality, right? As we're going to get into tomorrow's class of klipas noiga, right? The admixture of good and evil. No, this is complete evil. Period. Or an action that a person does, right? Raising your hand to hit somebody, or going with your feet towards somebody, moving your feet and walking towards somebody to do ill. That action, right? That action is an action that we have vitality from God, not from His holiness, obviously, and not from even klipas noiga, as we will learn more about tomorrow, but it is completely an act that's forbidden. Act that forbidden means a vitality that's coming to you. To perform that act is, again, shalosh klipas etzmeis. Or, for that matter, anything that's forbidden, an object that's forbidden, like forbidden foods. The vitality that it's given is shalosh klipas etzmeis. So, that concludes chapter 6, which some phenomenal ideas over here, that the wicked, they prevail. Because the nature of this world is klipa, which is actually an important thing, that when you see that the wicked get away with things, we ask God, how could you do that? How could you allow that? Because the nature of this world is klipa, right? The nature of this world is not vitality that's coming from God's holiness. That's in exile. It's not surrendered. It's not battles nullified to God. The nature of this world. So when you see that wicked prevail, don't become, still question Hashem about that, but we shouldn't get, we should be understanding that that's the way of the world, and that ultimately gives us a real freedom of choice, right? That we understand, I don't want to get my vitality from such a place. I don't want my connection to God to be one of disconnect, right? And that becomes a choice. If this world was naturally very holy, then naturally we would all, wouldn't have, as we have now, maybe on the 3 platforms, can you imagine, all we have is about, 50 people learning right now. Could it be that it's only 50 people learning? And some of you struggle to come every day to learn. Some of you it's very easy, some struggle. It's because the nature of this world is klipa. So self-directed engagement is what our natural way is going to be. What's good for me? What am I feeling like doing right now? Did we give a thought? And I don't say this to you, I say this to myself. Do I give a thought? What does Hashem want? That's a bittul. That's a self-abnegation. That's putting that I'm not separate from God. When I think that way, I live that way. So I'm sure we all do it, but how often do we live that way? And again, it doesn't mean we're not doing good stuff. We might even be doing mitzvahs, right? But the motivation is not coming from the godly soul necessarily, right? Could be just accustomed to doing it. I'm fearful if I don't do it, if I won't give the charity, what's going to happen? Or I'm going to feel bad if I don't do this mitzvah. So what does that mean? It's not because of a bittul, self-abnegation and connecting to Hashem, because that's what He needs from us. It's something that I need for myself. I need to feel good about myself. So again, just some thoughts for all of us to think about. Right? All right. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Thank you, Deborah, for your thoughts. Yeah, it's powerful thoughts, and every day, again, what golden nuggets the Alter Rebbe has to teach us. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Joseph, if a person is guided in a very bad direction, how is he judged by Hashem? I mean, who guided him? I mean, he lost his choice. He doesn't have a choice to choose the path he wants. At one point, we could lose our freedom of choice. That's true. Joseph, I hope you won't mind that I'm going to say the following, please. The very fact that we're concerned about how we're going to be judged by Hashem means we're worried about a punishment that's going to come. When we're worried about punishment, right, then it's not about doing what Hashem needs from us. It's about, I don't want to be punished, so therefore I'm going to do what I got to do. So it ends up being about me. So even though there's, again, that's better than not thinking about that at all, that's for sure. But being concerned, and just to point out over here how distant we are from what it means a righteous person. A righteous person is going to be thinking about not the judgment and the punishment that comes, or the reward. Is going to be thinking about what Hashem needs from them. And they're completely, as we will learn more about, of course, nullified to the will of Hashem. So, in the end, a person makes their choices, and therefore there's consequences. Davida, will the truly wicked be cut off from the world to come, or allowed to do tshuva? Will they see the wicked actions that they've committed when Mashiach comes? So that's, let's speak in generalities. I'm not going to speak about any specific individuals. Let's exclude, the Hitlers of the world from this discussion right now. And let's just talk about, ourselves. Of course, anybody who does tshuva means there's a cleansing. So if you do the tshuva, you've done the cleansing. If you don't do the tshuva, then after 120 years in this world, we go through Gehenna, and we'll learn more about that shortly, coming up a couple of classes. So then the cleansing will be done for us. So either we do the cleansing, or Hashem does the cleansing for us. That's what ultimately happens, right? Before Mashiach comes. Excellent questions. Thank you. All right, folks. Beautiful, amazing. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Just a note, on Thursday, I have a bris milah. So it could be that the class is going to be later on that day. I'll keep you posted. All right. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Tzich and Kadesh Machar Counter. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Please join me with Rambam now. All the best. Great day.